You hear the same money advice everywhere. Spend less, invest early, wake up at 5 a.m., start a side hustle. But there's one habit that creates wealth faster than almost anything else, and almost nobody is talking about it because it doesn't sound exciting. The richest habit nobody talks about is this: learning how to delay emotional spending decisions. Not delayed gratification, that's different. I'm talking about learning to pause long enough to stop your emotions from spending your future income. And once you see this pattern, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Most people think they have a money problem, but they actually have an emotional reaction problem. Because the majority of spending today has almost nothing to do with survival anymore. It's about stress relief, boredom, identity, loneliness, comparison, reward, convenience, exhaustion. And companies know this. Modern spending is designed to bypass logic. Think about it. One click, checkout, tap to pay, buy now, pay later, instant delivery, personalized ads, algorithm-driven shopping feeds. The goal is simple: to make sure you never pause long enough to think. And that pause, that tiny moment between impulse and action, that's where wealth is built. Here's something nobody tells you. Most people don't get poor from one catastrophic decision. They get poor from thousands of emotional micro decisions. Tiny spending leaks, tiny conveniences, tiny rewards, tiny upgrades, tiny "I deserve this" moments, and individually, none of them seem dangerous. That's why they're so powerful, because we only fear big financial mistakes. But wealth is usually destroyed quietly, not dramatically. It's the daily drive-through, subscriptions you forgot about replacing, boredom with shopping, upgrading things that still work, financing comfort, normalizing monthly payments. And eventually, people build an entire lifestyle around emotional relief, not intentional living. That's why some people making $150,000 feel broke, while others making $60,000 feel peaceful. Because financial stress isn't only about income, it's about how often emotions are allowed to control spending. Here's the unique part that nobody talks about. The biggest financial danger today isn't greed, it's exhaustion. Tired people spend more money. Overworked people spend more money. Burned out people spend more money. Because exhaustion destroys decision making. When you're mentally drained, convenience wins. Discipline disappears, planning stops, impulse buying increases. This is why so many people feel trapped financially. They're not lazy, they're depleted. And depleted people outsource everything: food, time, organization, planning, patience. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they don't have energy left. That's why the richest habit isn't extreme frugality. It's creating enough margin in your life to think clearly before spending. Because clarity saves money. Chaos spends it. One thing I've noticed about financially stable people: they rarely make urgent decisions. They don't rush into purchases. They don't constantly react. They create space, and space creates better choices. Poor financial habits thrive in urgency. Think about how many purchases happen because of limited time offers, flash sales, fear of missing out, social pressure, emotional highs, emotional lows. But wealthy thinking often sounds boring. It sounds like, I'll think about it. Maybe later. I don't need that today. Let me wait a week. I already have one. That pause protects them, and honestly, this habit matters more now than ever before, because modern life constantly pushes urgency. Everything screams, buy now, don't miss out, last chance, you deserve it. But financially successful people develop resistance to urgency, and that resistance becomes wealth. Here's another thing nobody talks about. A lot of people aren't trying to become rich anymore. They're trying to avoid feeling left behind. That's different, and it changes how people spend, because now people upgrade perfectly good things constantly. Phones, vehicles, homes, kitchens, clothes, vacations, furniture, not because the old version failed, but because someone online made their current life feel inadequate. This is one of the biggest wealth killers in modern society, comparison-driven upgrading, and social media has made it worse, because now average people compare themselves to influencers, business owners, celebrities, fake wealth, financed lifestyles, curated perfection. People are going broke trying to keep up with people who are also going broke. And the richest habit nobody talks about, being deeply comfortable with enough. That's real financial power. The ability to say, this is already good, without needing validation from strangers. I think one of the most underrated financial skills is emotional non-reactivity, meaning not every feeling needs a financial response. That sounds simple, but it changes everything, because most spending is emotional reaction. Stressed, order food. Sad, shop online. Bored, browse Amazon. Insecure, upgrade something. Overwhelmed, pay for convenience. Successful, celebrate with spending. But financially stable people often learn something powerful. You can feel discomfort without spending money to escape it. That's a superpower now, especially in a culture built around instant relief. And once you start noticing this pattern, your entire relationship with money changes. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, why do I want this right now? That question alone can save you thousands. Here's something I believe more every year. Your attention is directly connected to your finances, because if companies can control your attention, they can influence your spending. That's why ads never stop. That's why algorithms study your behavior. That's why everything is optimized to trigger emotion. And honestly, a huge part of financial maturity today is learning to protect your mind, because constant stimulation creates constant dissatisfaction. And dissatisfied people spend more. One of the richest habits you can develop is reducing exposure to things that make you feel perpetually behind. Sometimes the best financial decision isn't earning more money, it's seeing fewer temptations. That's why people often save more money when they spend less time scrolling, unsubscribe from marketing emails, stop recreational browsing, avoid lifestyle comparison, spend more time offline. Peaceful minds make better financial decisions. So what's the richest habit nobody talks about? Learning to pause emotional spending long enough for logic to catch up. That's it. Not perfection, not deprivation, not never enjoying your life, just creating enough space between emotion and action. Because in today's world, the people who can resist emotional urgency gain a massive financial advantage. And honestly, this habit compounds. Every paused purchase increases savings, reduces clutter, lowers stress, builds discipline, creates confidence, strengthens self-control, and eventually you stop feeling controlled by money, because you stop using money to control your emotion. That's a different kind of wealth entirely, and it's available to far more people than they realize. If this video connected with you, hit that subscribe button, because this channel is about real-life financial habits most people never talk about. Not flashy wealth, not fake guru advice, just honest strategies that actually help ordinary people build calmer, stronger financial lives. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.